book of Judges opens in a time after the death of Joshua, when Israel no longer has a central leader and begins to drift spiritually. The tribes settle into the promised land, but they fail to fully drive out the remaining Canaanite nations. Instead of obeying God completely, they compromise, living among pagan cultures and slowly adopting their practices. This becomes the root of a repeated cycle that defines the entire book. A pattern emerges early and continues throughout the narrative. The people of Israel turn away from God and begin to worship idols, especially Baal and Asherah. Because of their disobedience, God allows surrounding nations to oppress them. Under suffering and bondage, the people cry out to God for help. In His mercy, God raises up a judge, a deliverer, to rescue them. The judge leads Israel to victory, and for a time, there is peace. But once the judge dies, the people fall even deeper into sin than before, restarting the cycle again. The first major judge introduced is Othniel, who delivers Israel from the oppression of Mesopotamia. After him comes Ehud, a left-handed man who brings deliverance from the Moabites by assassinating their king Eglon in a bold and unexpected act. Shamgar follows, defeating enemies with nothing more than an ox goad, showing that God can use anyone and anything to bring victory. Then the story shifts to Deborah, a prophetess and judge who leads Israel during a time of oppression under the Canaanite king Jabin. She calls on Barak to lead an army, and together they defeat Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army. The victory is completed by a woman named Jael, who kills Sisera in a surprising and dramatic moment. This section highlights that God's power is not limited by gender or traditional roles, and He uses whoever is willing to obey Him. Next comes Gideon, one of the most detailed stories in Judges. Israel is suffering under the Midianites, and God calls Gideon, a man full of doubt and insecurity. Gideon questions God repeatedly, asking for signs to confirm his calling. Despite his fear, God patiently reassures him. Gideon gathers an army, but God reduces it to just 300 men so that the victory will clearly be attributed to divine power rather than human strength. With a strategy involving torches, jars, and trumpets, Gideon defeats a massive Midianite force. However, after his success, Gideon creates a golden ephod that leads Israel into idolatry again, showing that even great leaders can fall into error. After Gideon, his son Abimelech attempts to make himself king, killing his own brothers to secure power. His rule is marked by violence and corruption, and it ends in destruction, illustrating the dangers of selfish ambition and leadership without God's guidance. The cycle continues with Jephthah, a warrior rejected by his family but later called to lead Israel against the Ammonites. Before going into battle, he makes a rash vow to God, promising to sacrifice whatever comes out of his house if he wins. After his victory, his daughter is the one who comes out to greet him, leading to a tragic and sobering consequence. This story highlights the seriousness of words and the dangers of making foolish promises. Then comes Samson, one of the most well-known judges. From birth, he is set apart as a Nazirite, dedicated to God with specific vows. He is given incredible physical strength and begins to deliver Israel from the Philistines. However, Samson is driven by his desires and repeatedly makes poor choices, especially in relationships. His involvement with Delilah leads to his downfall, as she betrays him and reveals the secret of his strength. The Philistines capture him, blind him, and humiliate him. In his final moments, Samson calls out to God one last time, and God restores his strength. He brings down a Philistine temple, defeating more enemies in his death than in his life. His story is a powerful example of both God's mercy and the consequences of disobedience. The final chapters of Judges shift from individual leaders to the overall condition of Israel. The narrative becomes darker and more chaotic, showing a society that has completely lost its moral direction. One story involves a Levite and his concubine, leading to a horrific act of violence that sparks a civil war between the tribe of Benjamin and the rest of Israel. The conflict nearly wipes out the tribe of Benjamin, and the remaining tribes scramble to preserve it through questionable actions, further highlighting the moral decline. The book closes with a repeated statement that captures the spiritual state of the nation. In those days there was no king in Israel, and everyone did what was right in their own eyes. This line summarizes the entire book, revealing a people without leadership, without consistent obedience to God, and without a clear moral compass. The book of Judges is ultimately a story of human failure and divine mercy. It shows how easily people drift when they turn away from God. But it also reveals God's patience as He continually responds to their cries for help. It points to the need for a righteous and faithful king, setting the stage for the books that follow, where leadership and kingship become central themes in Israel's history.